Twinkle, twinkle, little star,
He's alive!
Welcome to Where the Weird Ones Are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Let's get weird.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that. And if you didn't, now you do. Today's episode is with Lavendar. She is the host of Early on Wednesday podcast where she discusses true crime. She hasn't put any episodes out lately. Life kind of happened, so maybe she'll pick it up again one day, but she was a lovely person to talk to. I really, really, really enjoyed the conversation. She is a service member from the Navy, so I appreciate her for serving in our nation's military. But yeah, she had a lot of cool things to discuss, some interesting encounters. So, I hope you all enjoy this episode and show her some love. She's early on Wednesday. And with that being said, if you guys are interested, I do have the Etsy shop up. I have a bunch of t-shirt designs and stuff on there, and that's www.etsy.com/shop/where-the-weird-ones-are. Also, if you're interested, you should look up etsy.com/shop/HealWithKristina. The code, you can enter my coupon code, which is weird125. You get 25% off. www.DeeperDown.store. There you will enter Kevin's Weird 18, and you'll get 18% off, and that's David's shit. And all the designs are really cool, and I would really appreciate if you guys all showed him some love as well. So with that being said, just like, share, subscribe, give me a rating, leave a review on Apple if you feel so inclined. Otherwise, I don't really care as long as you enjoy the show. That's all I care about. So also, I realize that this isn't video, it's audio. I don't know what's going on with my video capture thing right now. So for the video aspect of the show for like YouTube and Rumble, it's just gonna be this audio. But anyways, so yeah, like, share, subscribe. If you want to be on the show, where the weird ones are at gmail.com. You can hit me up on my Instagram. I don't mind DMs. So slide into my DMs. It's where_the weird ones are. So again, I really appreciate Lavendar for coming on. And I really enjoy her podcast as well. I've listened to every single one of her episodes. So yeah, go show her some love as well. She goes by Early on Wednesday on Instagram as well if you want to go do that. So without further ado, I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good night, whatever time you decide to listen to this. And with that, stay weird.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Weird. Get weird.
www.deeperdown.store. That's where you want to go if you want a hoodie like this. I don't know if you can see it that well. Hold on, I'll show you. If you're just listening to the audio, it's down the rabbit hole. So, if you're watching the video, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is my hoodie. I got it from David, who is __ down the dot rabbit hole __. He has a merch store, so go please fucking check that out. He's got a whole bunch of cool shit, cool designs. So if you need a hoodie, you need any kind of threads, please go check it out. He's a good friend of the show, and he's co-hosting over at One Nothing podcast for a couple episodes, so go check those episodes out. And please show him some love and some support. He's got a lot of cool shit in his store, so go check that shit out. Also, if you do decide that you want something from his shop, you can use my code Kevin's Weird 18. You get 18% off of your purchase. So however much shit that you want to get, the better it is for you to get more than just one thing with the coupon. So please go show him some love, show him some support. He's doing amazing shit. If you're not following him on Instagram, you probably should. So do that. All right, everybody. That's www.deeperdown.store. So the first thing I want to say is thank you for your service, because I know you were in the Air Force?
Navy. I was in the Navy.
Navy. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
how was that? Did you? So first of all, my grandfather was in the Navy.
Okay.
And I had asked him recently if he ever saw any UFOs while he was out on the ocean. So did you happen to see anything while you were out there?
Not out on the ocean. I did see like a giant octopus or squid or something once. I guess that's not too crazy, but I did see what would be, I don't know, I guess you would consider it a UFO, but it wasn't. It was while I was active duty, but not when we were deployed or anything. I was in a So I was working at a base in Georgia where they store all the nuclear weapons. So I'm in what they call the limited area, which is there's only like 2,000 people in the whole United States that can even get into that area. And about 1,000 of us were junior, sailors, because that's what we did for 16 hours a day. And so I'm in tower duty, which is probably 8 stories tall towers, because you have to see above the tree line. And it's nighttime, so all we had up there with us was a radio and a phone that would call down to like our dispatch type area. So at nighttime, in order to help us stay awake, our dispatchers would connect the towers. There was one in each corner, and so we could all talk to help each other stay awake. So we're up there and they're like, "Do you guys see those blue lights?" and it's coming from me and another girl's side. So we're looking at it. We like zoom in on it with our cameras and stuff. And it looks like police lights. Like it's just two blue lights, but it's setting right above the tree line. And it's almost like headlights, just two blue lights. And they're coming at us very slowly. And we're like, what the hell is that? It was too big, like way too big to be any type of drone. And then as we're watching it happen, the two lights split apart and go to like, I don't know, I couldn't even see the second one anymore. The one came like right in front of me and was like zigging around in the air, and then all of a sudden it zoomed back to in between where they first started, joined up with the second blue light, and they just disappeared.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's super interesting.
Right.
Holy shit.
And we can never figure out what it was, but like we recorded it and everything. Of course, it's night vision, so you can't see the color. It just looks like lights.
Right.
But yeah, me and everyone saw it. And me and the one girl that was on that one side of the limited area got like front seat view of it. It was crazy. It lasted for like 5 minutes probably.
Did you guys ever like have like this like weird feeling that maybe it was another country or something? Like maybe it was a possible attack or anything like that? Or
No, because whatever it was came like the one that I could see came close enough that it was whatever the object was too small to have a person in it.
Oh, that's even more interesting.
Right. Yeah.
And how
It
far
was-
out at sea were you?
We weren't at sea.
Oh,
we
you were at
in-
base. That's right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah, we were on the base.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't like, from what I could tell, it didn't like have any propellers or anything like a drone would be. And this is, oh God, 2009. So I don't even know if drones were really a big thing back then.
Yeah, not for us common folk anyway. I don't think.
So yeah, and it didn't have like any of the propellers or anything. As far as I can tell, it just looked like it was almost like a cylinder, like a Pringles can.
That's a common thing, like cigar shape
Mhm.
kind of thing
Right.
for
Yep.
UFO sightings.
But it was small.
It's interesting. I wonder if they
Mhm.
have shrink rays.
Right, maybe.
Let's just shrink our ship really quick. All right. So for everybody listening, she has a podcast called Early on Wednesday. She hasn't been able to do any lately. Just obviously everybody knows podcasting is time consuming, and she does true crime. So if you're interested, please go check that out. But in that, she had stated in actually a couple episodes of her seeing ghosts and possible shadow people and whatnot. So I was extremely intrigued. So I had to ask her to come on. So do you know like when the very first time you ever saw an entity?
An entity or a shadow person?
Either or.
The very first time that I saw like a ghost or entity type thing was my great grandma.
Oh.
I was
physical?
probably
Was she physical?
Yes.
Okay.
So so I was probably about 12 or 13 years old, and it was a school night, and I just remember, so we lived like a block away from my grandma, like one block, and then like 10 houses between us was my great grandma's house. And at this time she's like 98 in a wheelchair, and I wake up to like my door to my bedroom opening, and she's walking into my room, and she says, "I just wanted to check on you, and just making sure you're in bed doing what you're supposed to do." And I'm like, "Grandma, you're walking." And she's like, "I feel pretty good tonight." And so she like gives me a kiss and tucks me in and leaves. And I even hear the front door close. And then the next morning I was like, "Mom, like Grandma I walked over here." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, like midnight she walked over here." And she was like, "No, no, that's not possible." So she calls over there, and that's when they told us that she had died in her sleep.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's super interesting. So she she probably like made her rounds to all of you, and you just happened to be the one to see her.
I guess so. I
Did
don't
you,
know.
were you guys, were you close? You and her close?
Um, I wouldn't say we were close. She used to, because we lived so close to her that, it's kind of an easy babysitter, like when I was younger. So
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with her, but I always kind of hated her. I was like, she was a grouchy old lady,
So in death we become humble, I guess.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So that's it. I had a gentleman on a while ago, I think in like December-ish area, who kind of like had a similar situation where his cousin had died from gunfire, and I think it was like an accident or something, and
Wow.
she had showed up in his bedroom at 7 years old the night that she died and told him that she was okay and that everything was going to be all right, and like
Wow.
he sat in her lap and everything, and it's it's interesting to those kind of stories. I think are it's almost like they just want you to know that they feel
Right.
good,
Right.
that that they're at peace essentially.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's a pretty cool experience. So
Yep.
so when you found out, did you like become scared at all, or like
No,
no?
no, I was never scared of it, even after like finding out that she died. I was I was actually pretty like, oh, this is awesome. Like I can see ghosts.
I might be a ghost whisperer.
Right.
So did did you just start seeing things like more frequently after that, or was it just like kind of sporadic?
It was pretty sporadic. I really don't remember like seeing things unless like we provoked it. Like we played with a Ouija board in the cemetery once and got followed home and just, things like that. But I really didn't start like actually seeing more paranormal type things until after I was out of the military.
Oh, okay. And how long did you serve?
I did 10 year well, I'm technically still in. I'm in the reserves now, but I did 10 years active and I've been in the reserves for about the past 6.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I have like the majority of my family have served in multiple branches of the military, and I tried to join 3 different branches, but my waivers were denied, and I feel like it was at a time where they didn't really need anybody to join. So it
Probably.
was a lot easier for them to be like, nah, you know.
Yeah.
So
They're pretty selective nowadays.
are they still? Because
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I have I wouldn't call it a criminal record, but I have a bunch of like assaults from when I was like 18 or whatever, and I was trying to join when I was like 19, 20,
Mm.
and I had to sign waivers. So I first tried the army, and they said no, and then I tried the guard,
I'm
and they
surprised the guard said no.
yeah, me too. And then I was like, you know who's not gonna say no? The Marines won't say no, and then
They
they
said
said
no.
no. I was like, fuck.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
but I mean, I get it. Like it for like a bunch, because it was a couple. It wasn't just like one. So I feel like they're like, oh well, it's probably like we don't need somebody that's gonna have a hard time with authority or whatever,
Right.
kind of thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, so did you ever have like a situation that made you feel uneasy or possibly even frightened to where you may have had like a negative experience, basically?
Yeah, with the shadow people, I don't even know if like shadow people is the correct term. I've never really figured out what it was, because it wasn't the shadow people in the sense of the stereotypical like shadow, like man human shaped thing.
Mm-hmm.
um so the first time that I ever saw it was right after my dad died, and we're sitting around my uncle's house, and he had a TV in his kitchen, and we are just sitting around the table in the kitchen, like dining room area, and my back is right behind me is like the stove, and out of the corner of my eye I see this black cat, like a man-sized black cat, just sitting like a cat would on top of the stove. And I like turn really fast, and it stares at me for a second and then disappears. So I like stand up right away, not end up knocking over the table, and everybody's freaking out. And then after that I saw it for years, and it would terrify me. Like I would be in bed and I could feel it like climbing onto the bed like a cat would. And if I opened my eyes, it would be right above me, like staring at me and stuff. And then probably 6 months or so into it, a second one started showing up. And the second one would like chase off the first one, and then it would disappear too.
Huh.
Then after a little while they both quit coming around, so I don't know what it was, but there was never any. It wasn't like a shadow, it was a solid black, like 6 foot tall cat.
Holy
Like if a
shit.
cat was standing on its hind legs like a man, it would be like 6 foot tall, but it never stood up like that. It moved like a cat. It didn't have any eyes, no facial features or anything. It was just black.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, yep, just a complete void. It wasn't like a shadow or anything.
And it was darker than any darkness in
Mm-hmm.
your house. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So when was the last time you saw these shadows?
I really can't remember the last time that I saw it. I just remember it being that all of a sudden it was like, I haven't seen my friends for a while, and then it's because it was like every day that I would see them. I would be at work and it would be behind me at work, or I would
Oh,
be
it wasn't
driving.
just showing up at when you were in bed, it was showing up in
No,
other
all the
places.
time. Yeah,
Oh,
all the
wow.
time. I could be driving down the street and look in the rearview mirror, and it would be sitting in my back seat, and just things like that. Um, and it was every day for a long time. And then once the second one started coming around, it started to get like further and further between when I would see them. And then eventually it was like months in between.
Okay.
And then, so I really can't remember exactly the last time that I saw them. It got to the point where I kind of got used to it, you know. So
Yeah. So, I'm gonna ask you, I guess it would be technically like it as a personal question. So if you don't want to answer it, that's totally fine. So was there anything like while you were seeing these, like some kind of like turmoil or some kind of like traumatic things going on during this time?
so actually my psychiatrist, because I have PTSD from
Mm-hmm.
the military.
Yep.
And so my psychiatrist and me have debated on this like regularly. So apparently things like that, like hallucinations like that, are a symptom of PTSD.
Okay.
And but so I also have, my degrees in psychology as well. So me and her would go round and round about it, and I'm like, but I was never attacked by a black cat, so me having flashbacks of a giant black cat doesn't make sense.
Right.
But yeah, so that's where she kind of stands, that it's some sort of flashback or something PTSD related. And then as I started to so I can't remember what they call it, but when you come out of the military and you're transitioning into being a civilian, that is when most veterans struggle the most. As when you see the highest number of veteran suicide and everything within about a 2-year period between them leaving the military and becoming a civilian. And that transition is really difficult. Like, I can't even explain how difficult it is, like, emotionally. And so she thinks that that's why, because it started at the time that I left the military. So that's why she thinks it's PTSD related.
Okay. All right.
But I
So,
disagree.
so you were you were very emotional at that time then.
Yeah.
So, and that's when shadow people or shadow figures or whatever you want to call them, that's when they show up. So like I've experienced a lot of that, and when I first started seeing them. So everybody that listens to this show knows at this point. Um, I'm assuming that you don't listen, so I'm just going to tell you. I tried to take my own life when I was 9 years old, and that's when
Oh, wow.
all of it started happening for me. And so, and I was, mm, a, I don't like, because I try not to talk like a bunch of shit about my mother, because my mom is, I mean, she did a lot of good too. She wasn't horrible 100% of the time, but she did, physically abuse me and my sister quite
Right.
regularly. Um, and, and so that's, and during that, it was right after, my parents were divorced, and she was more angry and bitter. So I think she was going through things, and she was taking her anger out on us and stuff like that. So that's when I started seeing
I
all
mean,
the shadow people. So,
that makes sense because I mean, in like the psychology world, like people with multiple personalities and people like not all hallucinations, but some hallucinations fall into that, especially like shadow people type of hallucinations. So
mhm.
multiple personalities, they create an alternate personality to protect themselves.
Mhm.
So the same is said for people that are seeing shadow people, like they're remembering something and their mind is trying to protect them, so it blocks out what is scaring them and turns it into a shadow. If that makes sense.
That does make sense. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. So, um, my sister, actually, you know what? I'm not even gonna, because that's personal to her. So never mind. I'm not gonna touch that, and without her permission. So, but yeah, no, everybody that I know that has seen shadows, it stems from exactly
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying. So, so with a psychology background, um, you believe in the paranormal.
I
I
do. I do.
So you don't think that like most people are crazy when they say that they seen I mean, I'm not saying that not everybody is being truthful when they say that they've seen stuff, but
Right.
how, I guess the question would be, is there a way to, with us, with your background in psychology, is there a way to decipher a true story from a false one?
Um, I wouldn't say there's a way to decipher a true story from a false one because liars, when they're lying, like good liars believe their lies. That's what makes them good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there is ways to differentiate between somebody that had an experience and somebody that has like a severe mental illness and maybe hallucinating
Mm-hmm.
regularly or hearing voices, all that kind of stuff. Like there's a way to tell the difference between that and somebody that happened to experience hearing voices or seeing something occasionally rather than every day.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Hopefully everybody listening, it makes sense to them as well.
I mean, if they can't make sense of it, I guess we can do another episode and we can explain it better.
Sure can. Sure can. So in the house you are right now, is this where you were seeing the black cats?
No.
No.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. When do you, I cannot speak sometimes, but how long has it been since you've seen anything, would you say?
Since I seen anything. So a few weeks ago, so I have 15 acres of
Wow.
just woods. And so my house is like nestled in the middle of this 15 acres. And
Amazing.
my mailbox is like, God, like a half a mile away from the house. And I decided that I was going to make this walk in the, 10 o'clock at night down there.
Oh, jeez.
And so here I am, like walking back, and got my dogs with me, and they're usually running around being crazy, and they are all like pushing against me, like they're scared and they're growling and stuff. And I'm like, there's nothing out here. And then I see like red eyes coming from the trees, and the dogs, all three of them, just took off and left my ass. Like,
Oh no.
yeah. I came back and they were sitting on the front porch waiting for me.
Did you make it to the mailbox?
No, this was on my way back.
Oh,
Back
okay.
from the mailbox.
Did you run as well?
Yeah, after they took off and left me, I started running. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I could hear something like chasing us, it sounded like, through the woods.
So like following you parallel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
I know. I don't know what it was.
that could be a couple things.
Yeah.
From stories I've heard anyway, like Bigfoot or Dogman, and
I mean, it was, I would say the eyes were level with like maybe a coyote.
oh, so
Something
they
that
were low.
size. Yeah.
Okay. Still.
Yeah. I mean,
I've seen red eyes in the woods before, and they were it was taller, like a little bit closer to my height. I wouldn't say like a height of like a Bigfoot, but
right.
and it was accompanied with a pack of coy dogs. So
Wow.
there could be something to that, maybe.
Maybe.
There's a lot of stories that Dogman is associated with packs of coyotes. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that.
Are you in Michigan?
I'm in Maryland.
Maryland.
Yep,
I don't know
I'm
why
in
I was
Maryland.
thinking Michigan. I don't know. There's maybe I got maybe I
Is it,
mixed.
didn't Dogman start in Maryland? Wasn't it Dogman? No, Goatman.
Yes.
Was it Goatman?
Yeah. Well, I could look that up real quick to see what
Pretty sure.
originated in Maryland.
I'm pretty
is
sure
the
it was
most
Goatman.
Okay. What is the most popular cryptid in Maryland? Of course, it won't just say it. It'll give me websites to go in. Never mind. I'm not gonna do that. Have you ever been to a cryptid conference or anything like that?
Yes, I have.
How was that experience for you? Like, did you sit and listen to the speakers and everything?
I liked it. My favorite cryptid is the New Jersey Devil and Mothman. Those are my two favorites.
So that New Jersey Devil that whole the like conspiracies and stories around it,
Mm-hmm.
of how it like originated is pretty interesting. And then the Mothman is super interesting. So we have a bunch of Mothman stories up here in Maine. Um, and the so we is it Maine? The first victim of supposed Mothman in like the 60s, I think, was a dog, a 3-year-old
Oh,
dog, German Shepherd.
okay.
Um, and it like the sighting with the Mothman. I'm pretty sure it's Maine. I could be wrong. I just read this, so I could, and because the museum is in Maine, maybe I'm just associating Maine with the story.
Right.
But they had like this huge fucking I took a picture of it. I actually posted it on the Instagram, but it's huge freaking fake like Mothman mock-up. And it
Mm-hmm.
was right next to the dog, a German Shepherd statue of a dog. And then you could read the story with it. And apparently like they were seeing this Mothman entity, the eyes and stuff, and the dog chased it. And then the dog was never to be seen again.
Wow.
They don't know what happened to it, so they're calling it a victim of the Mothman.
Hmm.
So I
That's
found that
interesting.
pretty interesting. My daughter's like, oh, his victim. And it was only a 3-year-old dog,
Right.
which is even more sad. But
Yeah.
so getting away from like negativity, have you ever had like like a positive experience? I mean, other than your grandmother, like that could be like a guardian angel kind of thing or anything like that.
I wouldn't say guardian angel. I've got um I guess the best way to describe them is I was looking around my house trying to see if I could see anything right now, but I don't. So I have like fairy folk,
Oh,
and they will like do things like, like the typical you hear about, like socks going missing, things like that.
yeah.
Well, so I work from home majority of the time, and what I would do was, since I have 3 dogs, I wouldn't wear my work pants if I'm working from home. But if I had to leave to go to a meeting or something, which happens pretty regularly since I'm a social worker, I have to go do home visits and things like that. So I would put my pants on the banister for my stairways in the morning so I could just grab them, put them on, and walk straight out the front door, and they wouldn't get covered in dog hair.
Uh-huh.
And I would do it every morning, and they would be gone. Or like one of my shoes would be gone, and I'd have to put on a different pair of shoes, and I would come home and my shoe would be sitting right there in the middle of the doorway when I'd come in.
Holy shit.
Yeah, or like my pants would be gone, and I'd have to go upstairs and get a new pair of pants to put on, and when I would come home they'd be hanging on the banister like I just didn't see them or something. Just constant things like that. Like I have 2 side tables, and I would hear my beer or whatever it is like sliding, and I would look over and it would be gone, and I would look over at the other side table and it would be on the other side of the couch.
Wow.
Yep. So they're
Wow.
they're little pranksters, but as soon as I started like, so I went to this psychic, and she's the one that told me what it was, and she's like, you need to start honoring them. So I started putting out fresh flowers. So every time I get groceries, I buy a little like $5 bouquet from the grocery store, and like I'll put out like honey and fruit and stuff at nighttime, and
Uh-huh.
they've quit messing with me. So it
That's
works.
that's good. That's good at least. But that have you so did you ever get like catch a glimpse at all?
Like I would see them like I would see like the curtains moving,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go over and look, and I would see something like scurry away, and it would be like, so just a small little thing that was like bright colored and stuff. We really couldn't make out what it was, but it would like scurry away and like hide under the couch or something, and just things like that. Um, but now I feel Like even then when I first moved in and they were like messing with me all the time, it wasn't ever like a bad feeling. It was almost like, like just a kid playing pranks almost.
Mm, I get that. There's a lot of like negative connotations with like fairy folk, like they're like they eat children and stuff like that. But
I mean, from what
I've
I've read, there's different just different types of fairy folk.
that's what I was thinking. That like um because I think elementals are kind of like I guess would fall in the category
I would
of
consider
fairy
them
folk.
fairies, yeah.
So I saw mushroom people when I was like 10.
Did
And
you?
yeah, it was like a little mushroom village, and I don't know if it was a dream or not, and I always say that, but it feels real, so I'm telling the story like it's real.
That's pretty
Um,
cool. I'm jealous. I wish I could see mushroom people.
yeah, I had glasses at the time, so when they knocked my glasses off, told me that I didn't need them, and then my sister accidentally, because I was out in the woods with my sister didn't see them, and then my sister stepped. I was like, my glasses are gone, and my sister stepped on my glasses, and then like a week or two later, my doctor's like, your eyes are fine now. Like, what the fuck?
Weird. That's
Yeah.
fucking weird.
So, but like they say mushrooms, like consuming mushrooms, helps with like your brain cells and,
Right.
um, delays dementia if it runs in your family and stuff like that. So I wonder, I feel like, I feel like that was a positive experience.
I think so.
So, um, on that note, have you ever done like hallucinogens ever in your life?
I did
Like
shrooms
mushrooms?
and yeah, I did shrooms once in high school.
What was that experience for you?
We were watching the baby Looney Tunes and they popped out of the TV and tried to kill me.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's fucking hilarious. Oh my God. Holy shit, that's fun. So you took too much then.
Yes, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So how how long did how long did it take before it got to that point? Do you think after you consumed them?
Oh God, probably. I'm not even sure. Like I just remember we're all like there was like four or five of us and we're sitting on the couch and it's late at night and we're watching, I don't know why we were watching Baby Looney Tunes. I think we were just watching like Cartoon Network or something and that just happened to be on. But it was like they were passing the bag of shrooms down the couch and then when it came back the second time I grabbed more and I was the only one that took seconds apparently and I don't even
Oh,
it was probably a good 30 or 45 minutes because I feel like the show was over when it happened.
that's, that's funny. Uh, so when I've taken mushrooms, everything just seems brighter. I've never. Oh, I'm sorry. So there was one time I was in the bathroom and I had a bathroom rug that, like, like they're kind of like fuzzy, I guess.
Right.
I don't know how to describe it. But when I was sitting there staring at it and it like looked like a bunch of worms just going like this. So that
Wow.
was the only weird thing when I've done it. And I've done it recently.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
I've never done it again.
I wouldn't either if baby Looney Tunes were trying to fucking kill me. I would never touch that shit again. I wouldn't even microdose. I'd be like, fuck that shit.
No,
Oh,
never again.
so how uh uh how frequent were the shadow people throughout your life? So did you only see the cats, or were there other entities or other figures of the shadow people?
Throughout my whole life, I've seen, I guess it's always been like shadow like creatures.
Uh-huh.
Like, I mean, the cat creature things, not shadow people. But I do remember talking about it. I don't remember actually seeing them when I was little, but I remember like telling somebody, my mom or somebody, about that there was a man cat in my room at nighttime
Oh.
when I was little.
So if you saw the if you saw a shadow cat when you were little, then it's definitely not PTSD.
Right. And that was my argument with my psychiatrist when we were talking about it. And she's like, "Well, you don't know it's the same because you can't remember." And I was like, "I remember having the conversation."
Well, was your mom open to those kind of
No.
conversations with you? No.
No. She was definitely like, "That must have been a weird dream. Like, you're fine. There's no man cat in there."
Yeah. Have you ever tried to discuss any of it with her lately?
No, no. I haven't spoke to my mom in a very long time. We kind of ended up having a pretty big falling out, and she got into drugs like in her older years, and
Mm-hmm.
so she did some crazy stuff, and I don't even know where she's at nowadays.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, you know, cut out the negativity
That's
out of your
true.
life.
That's true. I don't really speak to my mom anymore either, and she lives literally on the other side of the block from my house.
Oh wow.
I bought this house 2 years ago. 2 years, 2.5 years ago, and she has never been here.
Well,
So
well, that's good for you then.
yeah,
Sounds like you don't want her around you anyway.
I mean, technically, I don't, but I think it's I don't know. It's weird that she reaches out to my ex-wife for when it comes to my kids instead of me.
Oh, that is weird.
So, yeah, my ex-girlfriend had a problem with it. Like, why isn't she coming around here? Why is she going to your ex-wife? I'm in your life now. But my mom didn't like my ex, my
Okay.
ex-girlfriend, but she loved my ex-wife, my kid's mother.
That makes sense.
So, but I was seeing shadow people here, and then because when I moved in here, my ex and I had just split up, and we were living in a house together. And when I got here, I started seeing shit in my hallway like
Well,
almost every day. So like I was in a heightened emotional. I was going to therapy, and I was doing all this shit. I started my spiritual journey and just trying to connect with myself and earth and whatnot, and whatever the creator might be, whether I don't think it's the biblical sense. So that's another question that I wanted to ask. Are you religious at all?
I would say I'm spiritual, but not really religious.
All right, I would say I'm spiritual as well. So do you believe in Reiki healing at all, or
I
energy healing?
do. I do. Actually, I just got my Reiki level 1 certificate.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
Yeah. Working on level 2, and then I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
That's cool. I have um a friend of the show. She's been on 3 times. She's I think she's a level 2 Reiki healer. She actually um does it kind of sort of for a living almost.
Oh wow.
So I mean that's an avenue you could take. She does she sells healing crystals and everything. So do you have healing crystals in your house?
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Do you do tarot at all? I don't know if that goes with Reiki, but
Kind of. I mean, I used to be really into tarot, but not so much anymore.
no.
Mm-mm.
So did you own so when you went to the psychic, was there anything else that she gave you for your reading?
Um, the typical, you have a curse on you, pay me $2,000 and I'll remove the curse sort of thing. But no, not really anything.
Not anything useful.
Mm-mm.
All right. All right. All right. All right. So do you keep in touch with the girls that saw the lights with you in Georgia?
Um,
Or the girl I can't remember if it
it
was
was, yeah,
just one.
there was a one girl. Well, I mean, there was four of us that initially saw it, but me and her were the ones that were on that side that saw it up close. Actually, I just talked to her not too long ago, so I guess, yeah, I guess that would be a yes. We do keep in touch.
Has she have you guys talked about the lights since?
Um, Not recently. We did talk about it. We had a reunion a couple of years ago, and we had all went to Georgia, and we were talking about it then. Apparently, it's like a legend now. Like they all pass it down. They show the video, the recording of it, and everything.
That's kind of cool.
Right? That's what I said.
So, do you have children?
I do. I have a 13-year-old
Oh, wow. Um, boy or girl?
girl.
So, has she ever seen anything like I think females mostly from what I hear because my daughter sees stuff and she's always seen stuff like when she was younger mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So I was curious if if you ever saw like any like weirdness or like maybe she was saying that there was something there that wasn't ever.
Yeah. When she was, even up until she was probably 9 or 10, there was a witch in her closet that lived in her closet, and I would wake up in the middle of the night and she'd be just like in bed with me, and she'd be like, the witch came out again.
Did she describe the switch to you at
it
all, or could she?
Not really. She just said it was a lady with snakes. I don't know if it was ever like snakes hair or it was just an old lady with snakes, so I don't know if it was pet snakes or what.
Yeah, yeah. So, since you said that you were seeing black cat shadows. So my daughter
Mm-hmm.
one night was like, "There's a black cat right there," and I was like, "Where?" And because I was trying to put her to bed, and
Right.
she was like trying to get away from me, almost like it was behind me, and I was like, and she was like, she was like gonna run for her life was what it seemed like when I was putting her to bed, and it scared the fuck out of me. So I find it interesting that was saying there's a black cat, and then you were talking about a shadow figure that was
Mm-hmm.
essentially a black cat.
Yeah. I mean, and just even like they would follow me and they would follow me. Well, the one, I always referred to them as the good one and the bad one because the good one would show up and they would like fight and then they would both disappear. And then the bad, what was that?
I was just gonna ask if you could tell them apart when you saw them.
No, they looked exactly the same, but I could like feel the difference. Like the bad one just made me like it was just doom.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like
then
a
it was like,
wicked sense of dread.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one, when he showed up, it was almost like a protective type of energy. I would say that they were both men. They both
Uh-huh.
had like a masculine type of energy. But it would make me like sometimes I would just get sick to my stomach because it was like I could see it constantly behind me. It followed me everywhere. And as long as I didn't look directly at it, I could like watch it. And it would, it would get so close and like sniff my neck and stuff. And then I'd turn my head and it would disappear and things like that. But it was just always, in the beginning, it was always right there.
That sounds a lot like an attachment entity
That's
kind
what
of
that's what
thing.
the psychic told me. She told me it was like, and I can't remember the term that she used, but it's essentially was like a genie, like sort of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from another dimension, essentially.
Well, I think ghost spirits, cryptids, and all that
Or all
stuff.
from another, yeah.
I
I
think
agree with
they're
that.
all different dimensions and stuff, and I think they like hop
Mm-hmm.
through the
I
dimensions,
think
and
so
that's how
too.
we end up seeing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why we never have very much proof of them being here.
Uh-huh. I
I agree
agree.
with that.
Yeah. Um, I had another question, and this happens to me every episode, and I'm sure people are like, "Dude, this happens to you every episode where you don't have
Mm,
to talk about it when it happens." Um,
you should write down your questions.
I should. That's a good. Yes, I should. Anyways, do you feel fulfilled in your life currently?
Um, no.
Are you are you taking steps towards your fulfillment currently?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't I don't like Maryland. I don't want to live in Maryland, but I'm kind of here until my daughter's 18, so
Mm-hmm.
until then, just kind of trying to figure out where exactly I want to live and kind of want to do when I grow up.
When I grow up. Yeah. How longer are you in the reserves?
Um, so my enlistment right now is until 2028, I think, but I somehow tore my rotator cuff in my hip.
Oh shit.
And so I'm probably going to end up with hip surgery and I'm going to use that as my out because I don't want to be in anymore.
Yeah.
It's gotten too political.
Yep. I don't blame you. I don't blame you there. And what do you think about our current state of government? I don't I mean I so me personally, I don't like the government as a whole from the beginning of time, but
Right. I agree with that. I mean, honestly, I feel like the government, the past since Biden took office, has been kind of non existent. I feel like everybody's just doing whatever the fuck they want to do.
yep. Yep, I feel the same way, and I feel like I don't think either one of them, Biden or Harris, have an actual like thought in their brain.
I agree with that.
Every time they speak, it's almost like, well, when Harris speaks, she says the same sentence like 5 times in a row,
Right.
and then she giggles and then goes, "You know what I mean?"
Mm-hmm. And
And
then Biden, who knows what he's talking about?
I did have just yeah.
Right.
What? Yeah.
He reminds me of Boomhauer on a Family Guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's funny. I didn't even think of that. Um and then I don't think Trump was um great either, and I don't think he'll be any better now, but I think there was things I've me personally there was things that he did that I liked, whereas with the current administration. I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? You know what I mean?
Right.
And
I
you
can
got,
say with Trump that like the economy was much better.
I agree, 100%. And then people are saying that it was the worst and that jobs were the worst. I mean, unemployment rate was the worst under Trump, and that Trump's the
Yeah.
worst president ever in history. But I think, uh, I think Biden is now
Yeah.
technically, and then there's Obama wasn't great either. I mean, he was a smart dude. He
Right.
is a
He
smart
just
guy.
didn't he just didn't have the balls to do what he needed to do. He couldn't put his foot down off for anything.
Yeah. And it's funny because with Biden, it's like we don't even have a president
Right,
technically.
exactly.
So, um, but so what do you think of them coming out and saying that aliens are real?
Um, it makes me wonder what they're trying to divert us from noticing. I feel like it's a diversion tactic.
I'm right with you on that 100%. Everybody's like, "Oh, finally they're saying UFOs and aliens
We
are
already
real."
all
And
knew they were
yeah,
real, though.
exactly. And I'm like, "Yes, but why are they telling us that they are?" Like
Yeah, there's something else going on that they don't want us to catch on
yeah.
to.
I'm like, they've been lying to us about everything, and you think that them saying this is them telling the truth? Like there's something else. There's 100% something else going on.
Yep.
And I just haven't figured it out
I
yet.
haven't either. I've been looking too, and I have no idea.
Because I know, like, so you had the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing, and they did a Pfizer dump
Right,
where they were released all these documents for like the vaccines and shit.
right.
And then what else was they had? So Kyle Rittenhouse, oh, fuck, I forget what was happening with. I think that was um stuff with Epstein flight logs and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So when that was all going on, um, there's always something else. Like just last week we had what the fuck's his name? Jason Aldean.
Hmm. Oh, and his
Yes,
song.
yeah, his song, and then this girl that all of a sudden isn't missing anymore. The
Right, that lied about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the significance of the color orange. So when the color orange is in the media, something's fucking weird. Like
Oh,
when
really? I didn't know, but I haven't heard about that.
yeah, I don't 100% have the details on that, but
I'm
it's
gonna look
like
it up.
it's usually like accompanied with false flags as the color orange, but I'm not
Okay.
like 100. So, and the
Hmm.
picture that they had of her when she went missing, she was wearing orange. So like that's said to be like, oh, that's a fucking fake ass story. Um, but so you had Jason Aldean, this girl that all of a sudden isn't missing anymore that she's found, and then that whole time there is an underground all last week. There's an underwater volcano that was erupting, and they had giant eggs around it.
Wow,
What
that's
these
cool as shit.
what these eggs are, I don't
Where's
know.
this at?
I believe it's in the Pacific Ocean.
I'm gonna look because that's cool as shit.
Yeah. I was I was like, well, this is something. Why isn't anybody talking about this volcano that's fucking erupting that hasn't erupted in like 1,000 years?
Right.
But I guess it's not lava, but it's like gas or whatever. But it's not the weird thing about it is the eggs. They're
Right.
they were trying to say that it was stingrays. They were eggs for stingrays or something like that, but the eggs were bigger than stingrays.
Hmm. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
That's weird.
so if you're of the conspiratorial mind, then yeah, it's something with all this media stuff. There's definitely something going. Which actually, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I do know that they are preparing for World War III. They're getting ready to activate thousands and thousands of reservists and send us to Poland
Poland.
because Poland is in the UN,
Mm-hmm.
and that would create a border from Russia moving through Ukraine into Poland.
Hmm.
They just sent out the letter to activate a bunch of reservists.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Hasn't happened
interesting.
yet. Nobody's, as far as I know, I haven't heard of anybody getting mobilized yet, but I want to say it was like a week or two ago that they sent the letter out to us all. So
Huh. I thought things were dying down and they were
no,
rebuilding because BlackRock has a fucking contract to rebuild Ukraine
nope.
through the bank of JP Morgan or whatever the fuck it was.
I have no idea. I honestly don't know. I'm like, I'm not going. So
Yeah, I don't fucking blame you. And then they were talking about uh if there's another draft that they're gonna draft women too.
yeah. So that gets kind of iffy.
Yeah,
But technically, since they allow women on the front lines now, that they can't discriminate
right.
against, but there won't be another draft because there's, if you look across the board for every branch reservist wide, there's tens of thousands of us.
Okay.
So
That
there
makes
won't be
sense.
any need for a draft until we start running out. So
Yeah. I don't like the idea of girls being drafted, but I mean, I guess
it
that
would, I mean, there's gonna be a lot more stipulations to it. I mean, obviously, if like somebody's a mom, then they probably wouldn't get drafted and things like that. But I don't think, I honestly don't think that it will ever come to that. I mean, the war now is so hands off. It's all missiles and
Mhm.
drones and planes and stuff that they don't need the boots on the ground like they did before. There's no need to just, you know, draft people that don't know how to do anything high tech to go die because
Right.
they don't fight that way anymore.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, that's a perspective I didn't really think of. So, thanks for that.
I mean, it's going to be people that are in like that sort of like cybersecurity or like pilots, and it's, if they do a draft, it's going to be, I would think it would be more career specialized and like
Mhm.
stuff, and it wouldn't just be just everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. So, do do you think um Russia has an appetite for more than just Ukraine? Because I feel like they were only going after a sliver of Ukraine that they were saying that was already Russia technically, and they just wanted it back.
Um, I don't think Ukraine does, but I think because Ukraine has strong ties with China, I think the issue is that with China's backing, Ukraine will essentially die from Russia. You know what does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think I think that whatever his name is in Russia is just so, he seems like he's crazy, like he's lost his mind. So I feel like any sort of push from somebody stronger or more powerful than him, then he would just comply with it.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. And then Russia did meet with China like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. And then I think it's weird that um the president of what the fuck's his name of Ukraine had Zelensky had come over here like several times trying to get money out of us. And we've sent so much money to them for weapons when we could have just been sending them weapons.
Right.
Why are we sending money for weapons? Why don't we just send them weapons? Because we have them.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I think it's more of that they were trying to send money over there for them to essentially be able to build the infrastructure to manufacture their weapons, their own weapons, set them
I
up for the
got you.
long haul rather than us sending them weapons that we no longer use that are eventually, like sooner rather than later, are going to be null and void.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always going to be bigger and better. And this way they can prepare themselves for the future by having the facilities and be able to manufacture and create their own weapons as they need them.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So, yeah. So did you, when you were active, did you see um combat?
I mean, I was on a carrier, so as much as a carrier can see. But we did go for so on our deployment, on the way home after our deployment, we got turned around. We did so on the carrier is multiple different types of planes and squadrons and stuff like that. So what happens is when one battle group, which is the carrier and all of the ships that protect it, right, is leaving and the next battle group is coming in, they do what's called an ammo offload. So they take all the bombs and the torpedoes and missiles and all that kind of stuff and transfer it to the ship that's coming out to deployment. So after this happens, then shit started to pop off in Ukraine and Syria. So we went out to the Red Sea and set out in the Red Sea, threatening to bomb Syria for months. But we never actually did anything because the whole time we didn't have any bombs.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. So that was the closest that I've been to anything. I mean, I've been I went to Iceland and set up a base there and stuff, and just on ships and stuff. So I've never really seen combat.
okay. All right. And you're seeing your therapist for I would assume for not only your PTSD but for coping with uh your divorce, I would assume, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um so anybody who hasn't gone through a divorce, even though you're like don't want to be in that relationship, it still takes a toll on you mentally and emotionally. So I was just wondering, I think I already asked that question that your shadow people sightings were more when you were going when the divorce
No,
were starting.
I hadn't been seeing them when I got my divorces before. They started like right about the time that I got out of active duty, and right around that
Yes.
same time, my dad had passed away. So my dad passed away, and then I got out of active duty. Actually, is how it worked, but it was within a couple months of each other.
Okay. All right. So, this I guess this will be the last question. Any thoughtful insights or positive or motivational words of wisdom, I guess I could say for the listeners that you would like to bestow before we part ways?
Um, I guess, like everyone always says, if you see something, say something. I mean, that goes for if you're seeing something paranormal, if you're seeing something that you think is creepy and could be potentially a crime. Doesn't hurt to tell people.
I like that. I actually saw on that note, I saw a young girl. I don't know if she was underage or not, or an adult, but she looked really young. And my son and I were leaving the movies last night, and this car had pulled over. She was walking down the sidewalk, and this car had pulled over, and she was getting into it, and I had to like stop and like make sure that she knew them before I could continue going. Like it was dark, and it just seemed weird, and I was just like, and they're like, what the fuck?
I would have done the same thing.
So but anyways, so that's the show for today, guys. Please check out her podcast. Maybe someday she'll reignite it, but show her some love too. She's Early on Wednesday on Instagram, and Early on Wednesday is the name of her podcast. I never asked her name, but I'm assuming it's Lavendar.
It is Lavendar. My parents were hippies.
Not always a bad thing. Sometimes hippies are a little weird. So please, if you would like to show her some love, go follow her Instagram and check out her podcast. If you want to be featured on the show, please don't hesitate to email me at wheretheweirdonесare@gmail.com. My Instagram is where_the_weirdonese are. Most active on there, so you can DM me too. So with that being said, whenever you listen to this, I hope you have a good day, a good night, good weekend, good week. And above all, stay weird. Yo, you like crystals? Do you like healing crystals? Do you like candles? Are you into energy healing and cleansing your mind, body, and soul? Bro, head on over to etsy.com/shop/HealWithKristina. You won't be disappointed. I promise you. She's got amazing handcrafted crystals, custom made, some of them. So you should definitely check her out. She's an amazing person. She's an amazing friend. All she wants to do is help people. She wants to heal people. And she's just here, just shining her light. And it's fucking bright. It's a bright ass light. So, again, if you're into healing crystals and whatnot, you're spiritual, you got to go check her store out. Again, that's etsy.com/shop/HealWithKristina. Upon checkout, enter the coupon code WEIRD125. You get 25% off. So please show her some love and check her out. She goes by HealWithKristina on Instagram, so you can connect with her there too. So yeah, check it out.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky, when the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day. Make a wish.